Hello and welcome back to my channel. We are going to be reading chapter 8 from this, let's turn it around the right way. This book, Mischief and Masquerade. It's book 7 in the Matched in Miracle series. I had so much fun writing. It's just a fun and quirky little story. And so we're going to take up on chapter 8 where we left off last week. So here we go. Chapter 8. Kate kept the ice over her eye as Oliver placed his hands on her shoulders as he guided her across the hall to her room so she could change out of her sticky clothes. Kate slapped the door when she realized she had forgotten her key once again. She hadn't meant to leave it behind when she crossed the hall to Oliver's suite. Why couldn't they make gowns with pockets? She should have gone with her first instinct and worn her jeans. The longer she stayed in her wet dress, the more her skin prickled, and she wriggled under the uncomfortable feeling of the sticky fabric rubbing against her skin. Oliver turned her to face him. "Come on back to my place, and I'll see if I can find you something to wear." With her uninjured eye, she sized him up. Whatever he loaned her would drown her. He led her back to his suite. For a moment, he fumbled through his pockets. Kate laughed. "Don't tell me. I left my key inside." "Do you think Tanner could come up and unlock the rooms?" Oliver patted his pockets. "Do you have your phone?" Kate shook her head. "If I'd brought my purse, I'd have both my key and my phone." "Stay here. I'll be right back." He headed toward the elevator. "You think I'd go anywhere looking like this?" she called after him. After the elevator door slid closed, she returned to the alcove and sat in the same chair and waited impatiently. Bored, she went to the window overlooking the parking lot. Below her, Rick and Emily stood at a car, looking rather deep in conversation. He bent and kissed her cheek before opening a door. Then he raced to the driver's side, and they drove off down the road. Kate pulled her eyebrows together. Holy goodness, that was moving way too fast. If she'd had her phone, she would have texted Emily. What was going on with those two? She was supposed to be checking him out, not checking him out. The elevator dinged and Kate whirled around. Oliver dangled a key from his fingers. Tanner said to open both doors and then return the key. Kate slipped into her room and studied her swelling eye in the mirror. Already a black and blue mark formed on her eyelid. Well, she wouldn't be going anywhere until it looked better. Emily and Rick would have to find things to do without her, although, judging by what she saw in the parking lot, they wouldn't want her tagging along anyway. She wriggled out of her gown and dumped it on the floor. Was there a dry cleaner in town? After taking her third shower of the day, she changed into jeans and a t-shirt. Her belly let out an audible growl. Goodness, but she was still hungry, and Oliver had that cheesecake in his refrigerator. Rummaging through the cupboard, Kate searched for something to fill her stomach. She had really been looking forward to the chicken he'd prepared. With a soft smile, she thought of how she loved the idea of a man who liked to cook. He was obviously kind, if a bit forceful, and tender. The closeness of his face to hers and his sweet care for her eye left little tingles in her stomach. His lips had been close enough to hers that all she had to do was lean forward, just a little. The knock on her door brought her out of her musings. Kate closed the cupboard and went to the door. Through the peephole, she spotted Oliver, looking as dashing in his t-shirt as he did in his tuxedo. He held a white plastic bag in one hand and an open bottle of sparkling cider in the other. She opened the door. "That'd better be food." Apparently, the restaurant next door delivers. He held up the bag. "They don't serve chicken cordon bleu, so I ordered fried chicken, potato salad, biscuits and gravy, and coleslaw." The menu called it the All-American. The aroma of the meal wafted from the bag, and she motioned him inside. "I hope you don't mind paper plates." After her ordeal, she didn't feel like washing dishes. He scrunched his brows. "Paper? Won't the food stain the tablecloth?" Kate went to the cupboard and retrieved a stack of disposable place settings. Don't you have these in England? Probably. He set the bottle of cider on the table and took the plates from her, setting them in the same position as he had at his table. How odd that someone from his station had never eaten off paper. In America, these are quite common. She added plasticware and cups. Like he had done in his suite, he pulled out her chair. Thank you. Kate couldn't fault him for being a gentleman. Neither of them mentioned her eye, although the way he kept staring at it, he must be feeling guilty. It really wasn't his fault, just a series of mishaps. Oliver placed the contents of the bag in front of them. You first. Kate settled on one of the smaller pieces before dishing up the rest of the food with her fork. Her phone pinged an incoming text message at the same time as Oliver's. Not that she wasn't curious, but it would be rude to check her phone at the table. He must have felt the same way, since he picked up a larger piece of chicken and took a bite, sighing with pleasure. I didn't realize how hungry I was. When they had finished dinner, Kate gathered up the disposable items and dumped them in the trash. Cheesecake? She asked. Your place or mine? He raised his eyebrows seductively and sent those butterflies racing. I'll meet you in the alcove. That would give them both time to check their messages. I'll bring more paper goods. She shooed him out the door. Don't wait up for me, Emily's message read. Kate chewed her lip. What was she thinking? It wasn't like her best friend needed a chaperone, but what would happen while they were out? Could Emily keep up the heiress ruse? So far, she acted more like a scatterbrain than someone who'd gone to finishing school. Kate texted her back. Should I be worried? Emily didn't text back. Now Kate was really worried. Would the Earl take advantage of her? Be careful and don't get into trouble. Call me if you need me to come get you. Good grief, she sounded like her mother. But the thought of her blowing it and ruining their plans ate at Kate's insides. Her best friend was so naive about men. Throughout college, she jumped from boyfriend to boyfriend. Nothing ever lasted with her. She tucked her key in her pocket, grabbed a couple of dessert plates and forks, and headed to the alcove. Oliver was cutting into the cheesecake with a butter knife. He looked up at her. I hope you remembered your key. Kate patted her front pocket as she slid into the seat across from him. With a small serving spatula, he dished up a slice and put it on the top plate and wiped his fingers on a paper napkin. They ate in silence, Kate lost in her thoughts. Did he receive the same kind of text from the Earl? Was he worried about him? Obviously for different reasons. As an aide, was it Oliver's obligation to chaperone him? But then, men seem to live by different standards. Kate licked some whipped cream off her plastic fork. So, is it all right for the Earl to be alone with Kate? A crease formed between his eyebrows. We don't live by such antiquated values anymore. Funny how he didn't believe in old-fashioned things, but had never used paper plates. How she wished the Earl needed a chaperone. If Oliver and Kate accompanied him, they could keep an eye on them and keep them from doing anything stupid. Oliver finished his serving and pushed his plate aside. I'm going to turn in early. He rose and gave her a stiff bow before heading to his room. So that was chapter 8. I hope you'll stay tuned next week for chapter 9. And if you haven't already, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel and hit that little like button, and also click on that little bell so you'll get notifications when I post the next chapter, which is coming next week. And I will see you then. Bye.